And welcome to Celebrity Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. In the spotlight tonight are Debbie McGee, Britain's best-known magician's assistant. She will be answering questions on the great ballerina Dame Margot Fonteyn. Ben Cajee, a television presenter from Match of the Day and CBeebies. His subject, West Ham United. Kiri Pritchard-McLean, a comedian, regular on comedy panel shows like Have I Got News for You, answering questions on the comedy Inside Number 9. And Tracy-Ann Oberman, an actress known, among other things, for EastEnders and Friday Night Dinner. Her subject, the women of Imperial Rome. And as ever, our contenders have agreed to put their reputations on the line by answering 1.5 minutes of questions on their specialist subject and 2 minutes on general knowledge in the bold attempt to earn the kudos of becoming a celebrity mastermind and taking home the elegant trophy. So let us ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Debbie McGee.
Your occupation?
Entertainer.
Your chosen charity?
Is the Magic Circle Benevolent Fund.
And your chosen subject?
Is Dame Margot Fonteyn.
The great British ballerina. Here we go. When she was a child, Margot Fonteyn moved with her family to Shanghai, where she joined dance classes conducted by a Russian tutor who said that she held herself beautifully. What was the tutor's name?
George Koncharov.
Yes, Fonteyn's mother, Hilda, chaperoned her through much of her dancing career and became known by the initials BQ. What do those initials stand for?
Black Queen.
Yep. After Fonteyn returned to London, she enrolled in the Vic Wells Ballet School, and in 1935, aged 15, she was cast as the Creole Girl in a revival of a ballet set to music by Constant Lambert. What's the title of that ballet?
Rio Grande.
Yep. In 1936, Fonteyn starred in a new ballet entitled Apparitions, created by Constant Lambert and Frederick Ashton, and based on music by a 19th century composer. Who was he?
Jeffrey Toy.
Franz Liszt. Fonteyn met her future husband Tito Arias in 1937 when he was a student at Cambridge. He came from a political family, and both his father and uncle served as president of his native country. Which one?
Panama.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
In 1947, Fonteyn appeared as herself in a film drama for children where she danced a few excerpts from Les Sylvides. What was the title of the film?
The Magic of Dance.
No, The Little Ballerina. Fonteyn impressed American audiences in October 1949 when she appeared in a Sadler's Wells production of The Sleeping Beauty at a theatre in New York. Which one?
The Metro.
Yes, Metropolitan Opera House. In 1952, Fonteyn contracted a disease that caused nerve damage and temporary paralysis in her feet and tongue. It took her 5 months to regain the strength to perform again. What disease was it?
Arthritis.
Diphtheria. Debbie, no passes. You have 5 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Ben Cajee.
Your occupation?
A television presenter.
Your chosen charity?
Click Sergeant.
And your chosen subject?
West Ham United 2000 to 2020.
That East London football club, nicknamed the Hammers. Here we go. In December 2019, an English midfielder was named Hammer of the Decade in a poll of fans, and in July 2020, he made his 500th appearance for West Ham against Watford. What's his name?
Mark Noble.
Yep, in 2011, West Ham appointed a new manager who guided the club to promotion back to the Premier League in his first season, and later had a brief spell as manager of England. What's his name?
Sam Allardyce.
Yep. In November 2007, West Ham achieved a club record margin of victory for a Premier League away match when they beat Derby County at Pride Park. What was the final score?
5-0.
It was. The club's final game at the Berlin ground was in May 2016 when a late goal from Winston Reid gave them a 3-2 victory against which team?
Manchester United.
Yep. In August 2016, West Ham's first competitive game at their new home ground, the London Stadium, was a 3-0 win against the Slovenian side NK Domžale. In which competition?
The Europa League.
Yes. In 2001, the club re-signed a Scottish international from Sunderland for a then club record transfer fee of £5 million. What's his name?
Oh, George McCartney.
Don Hutchinson. In 2005, West Ham were promoted back to the Premier League, and in September that year, Marlon Harewood scored a memorable hat-trick in a 4-0 victory against which team?
Aston Villa.
Yep. In their League Cup quarter-final away to Spurs in December 2013, West Ham scored twice in the last 10 minutes to win 2-1. What's the name of the substitute who headed the winning goal in the 85th minute?
Kouyaté.
Modibo Maiga. No passes, Ben. You have scored 6 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name is?
Kiri Pritchard-McLean.
Your occupation?
I'm a comedian.
Your chosen charity?
Every month.
And your chosen subject?
Inside Number 9.
That television series of dark comedies that often have a twist in the tale. Here we go. The first episode of Inside Number 9 to be broadcast was Sardines. It features the engagement party of a woman whom some of the guests mistakenly referred to as Rachel. What's the character's actual name?
Rebecca.
Yes, in the 12 Days of Christine, a game is played during Christine's birthday party, which, her mother reveals, has been played every birthday since she was 6. What game?
Blind Man's Buff.
Yep, in The Riddle of the Sphinx, Professor Squires introduces Nina to the concept of cryptic crosswords and begins with a clue that reads, I teach wild creature without hospital building. What 12-letter word is the answer?
Oh, I can't remember.
I'll take that as a pass. In the trial of Elizabeth Gadge, Justice Pike is thrilled that a suspected witch has been discovered in his rather dull village and that its visitor numbers have increased substantially. What's the name of the village?
Little Happens.
Yes. Diddle Diddle Dumpling features a character called David who becomes obsessed with finding a shoe to match one that was left outside his home, and he appears on a radio show to appeal for help. Which real-life broadcaster plays the DJ who interviews him?
Oh, I don't know. Pass.
In the understudy, the early action takes place in a dressing room during rehearsals and performances of Macbeth. But later, the understudy, Jim, prepares to go on stage as a character in a different Shakespeare play. Which one?
Richard III.
Yep. The episode Empty Orchestra is set in a karaoke club. Greg is the first of his party to arrive and he switches on the music. What's the first song he plays and sings?
Don't You Want Me, Baby?
Yes, Don't You Want Me. In the live episode, deadline transmission of the programme is interrupted by technical fault and BBC Two begins to broadcast an earlier episode of the series as a replacement. Which episode is this?
A Quiet Night In.
Correct. 2 passes. Danny Baker was the real-life broadcaster. And that answer to the crossword clue is architecture. Yeah.
I'm disappointed in myself.
On the contrary, you have scored 6 points.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you.
And our final contender, please. Your name is?
Tracy-Ann Oberman.
Your occupation?
Actress and writer.
And your chosen charities?
High Cancer Care and the British Heart Foundation.
And your chosen subject?
The Women of Imperial Rome.
Notable women in the Roman Empire. Here we go. Which member of the Claudian family was the wife of the Emperor Augustus until his death in AD 14 when she adopted the name Julia Augusta?
Livia.
Yep. Julia, the daughter of Augustus, was key to his dynastic ambitions, and in 17 BC he adopted her 2 elder sons, but they both died young. One was called Gaius. What was the name of the other?
Lucius.
Yep. In 2 BC, Augustus banished his daughter Julia to a tiny island off the Italian coast as a punishment for her alleged promiscuity and scandalous behaviour. Which island?
Pandateria.
Yep. The Empress Livia was granted some of the special privileges normally reserved for members of a religious cult in Rome, which included getting a good seat at the theatre. Which cult?
Vestal Virgin.
Yes, around 22 BC, coins were minted inscribed to Livia with an image of a wheeled carriage that was used within the city walls only by a privileged few, identifying her as set apart from the other aristocratic women. What's the Latin term for this carriage?
Cariadrum.
Carpentrum. What was the name of the mother of the Emperor Caligula? After she was widowed in AD 19, she was persecuted by the Emperor Tiberius, who saw her and her family's popularity as a threat.
Agrippina.
Yes, in AD 39, Caligula banished his 2 surviving sisters to the Pontian Islands with the threatening remark, I have swords as well as islands. One sister was Agrippina the younger. Who was the other?
Drusilla.
Livilla.
Oh, yes.
Claudius succeeded Caligula as emperor in AD 41. His third wife, Messalina, was notorious for her promiscuity, and she had a bronze statue made of one of her lovers, who was a famous actor. What was his name?
Menaeus.
Menester.
Oh,
No passes, Tracy. You've scored 5 points.
thank you.
Well done.
Well, what a very close round that was. Let's have a look at the scores. In joint third place, 5 points apiece, Debbie and Tracy-Ann. In joint first place, 6 points apiece, Ben and Kiri. So now it is the general knowledge round. And if there is a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, then there has to be a tie break. So let's ask Debbie back into the chair, please. Debbie, you'll have to forgive me, because I know everybody does this, but you are still sort of known as the magician's assistant. Do you get a bit fed up with that?
No, I had a wonderful time being a magician's assistant. But I mean, the funny thing is, John, is that when I first got my job with my late husband, Paul Daniels, on the Paul Daniels Magic Show, I didn't know who Paul was. I'd lived in Iran, and I hated magic, and I signed the contract without knowing what he did. I thought he was probably a comedian. Look what happened to me.
Look what happened. Were you the first woman to be a member of the Magic Circle?
I was, indeed.
Wow.
As soon as they allowed women in, 1991 or something like that.
When you're in your Magic Circle group, as it were,
Yeah.
do you exchange tips on why the ostrich didn't come out of your elbow or whatever ostrich?
Yeah, I
whatever
mean, what's wonderful and what I love about the Magic Circle is that everybody thinks it's all the big professionals, and it really isn't. It's a bit like Hogwarts. But what's great is magic is a fantastic hobby, and for shy people, it's a great hobby.
What? Why? I mean, I'd have thought exactly the opposite.
Yeah, Paul was the most painfulest shy boy until he learned a magic trick on a
Good
wet
heavens.
holiday in Yorkshire, and then would show it to friends at school. And he had something they didn't have, his secrets of magic. And lots of magicians I speak to said, oh yeah, we were really shy, but this brought us out of ourselves.
So the secret for curing shyness
Yeah.
is to learn magic
a magic
tricks.
trick, yeah.
Now, let's put you to another test, and that is the general knowledge.
And a great excuse if I don't answer them, that I'm blonde.
I can only object to that. Here we go. Fedora, boater and trilby are styles of what clothing accessory?
Hat.
Yep. Which European city has an international airport called Schiphol?
Holland?
Amsterdam. What's the name of the Japanese-American artist who married John Lennon in 1969?
Yoko Ono.
Yep. What vegetable is shredded and fermented to produce sauerkraut?
Cabbage.
Yep. What's the name of the England and Manchester United footballer who was awarded an MBE in the Queen's Birthday Honours List in 2020? He was recognised for his campaigning on free school meals for vulnerable children.
Mark. Something like Rushbikoff.
Marcus Rashford, who served as Barack Obama's vice president from 2009 to 2017.
I didn't hear the beginning of
Who served as Barack Obama's vice president from 2009 to 17?
Cheney.
Joe Biden. In human biology, the islets of Langerhans are a group of cells that release various hormones into the body. They're found in which major organ?
Kidney.
Pancreas. The jukebox stage musical On Your Feet features the songs Rhythm Is Gonna Get You and Don't Wanna Lose You, and is based on the life and music of a Latin American pop star and her husband, Emilio. What's her name?
Estefan.
Yes, Gloria Estefan. The recipe book Cook, Eat, Repeat was published in 2020 to accompany a television series presented by a celebrity cook. What's her full name?
Nigella Lawson.
Yes, in 1984, Australia adopted Advance Australia Fair as its official national anthem. What anthem did it replace?
Merry Christmas,
God
darling.
save the Queen. What adjective used to describe an animal that's returned to the wild after being domesticated comes from the Latin for wild beast?
Pass.
Which Belgian actor and martial artist is nicknamed the Muscles from Brussels? He's best known for 1990s action films such as Universal Soldier and Time Cop.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Correct, you had one pass. Feral is the wild animal. You have scored 11 points.
Thank you.
Well done, love.
Well done.
And now, Tracy-Ann, join us again, please.
Hello.
Hello. You are known, among other things, for EastEnders, and just for those who do not remember that famous episode, you played Chrissy Watts.
I did, and I murdered my husband, Dirty Den, who was soap's biggest villain at the time on television, and I buried him under the Queen Vic. I'm serving longer than most actual murderers in jail, and I think if I had had a better barrister, I would have been off on mental cruelty and self-defence, John. But such was the times.
Some people take soaps very, very seriously indeed. How did people react to you?
Love me. I was a national hero. He was not called Dirty Den for nothing. I think EastEnders is a microcosm of ancient Rome. You know, he who rules the Vic is the emperor. And the people the lady of the Vic is the empress.
Now, what is this Friday night dinner?
Oh, Friday Night Dinner is become a sort of cult hit on Channel 4. It's about two boys, Simon Bird and Tom Rosenthal. They come back into that family home and they revert back to the sort of naughty 11-year-olds they were. And I play Auntie Val, Jackie's best friend. And everybody's mum had a best friend that was always hanging around the house that was slightly irritating to them, but you sort of loved them, but they weren't really your auntie. So you see, it's almost like Chekhov in a small screen.
You just sort of.
There's a Chekhovian truth to it.
There is a Chekhovian
Because I'm on
truth in
Mastermind,
it.
I can say that.
Right, well, look, you've got 5 points. You're all very, very close. Here is your general knowledge. Starting now. What do the letters MP stand for after the name of a British politician?
Member of Parliament.
Yep, the term cavalry refers to army regiments who fight in armoured vehicles, but used historically it refers to soldiers who are mounted on which animals?
Horse.
Yep. What stage name was adopted by the entertainer John Eric Bartholomew in the 1940s after he'd formed a music hall double act with Ernie Wise?
Eric Morecambe.
Yes, the popular beach resort of Waikiki is in which American state?
Hawaii.
Yep. Which singer has reached #1 in the UK albums chart with It's Not Me, It's You in 2009 and She's Us in 2014?
Lily Allen.
Yeah. The Cassini division is a large gap in the ring system of a planet in our solar system. Which planet?
Saturn.
Yep. Which Japanese tennis player beat Victoria Azarenka in the final of the women's singles tournament at the US Open in September 2020?
Cliff Richard.
Naomi Osaka. A molecule of water contains atoms of hydrogen and which other chemical element?
Oxygen.
Yep, in the 2014 film Kingsman, The Secret Service and its 2017 sequel, the master spy Harry Hart is played by an Oscar-winning British actor. Who is he?
Colin Firth.
Yep, what dish made with strips of beef cooked with onions and mushrooms in a sour cream sauce is said to be named after a Russian diplomat born in 1774?
Russian salad.
Beef Stroganoff, the headquarters of the UK Government Security and Intelligence Service, known as GCHQ, is based in a circular building nicknamed the Donut on the outskirts of a town in the west of England. Which town?
Birmingham.
Cheltenham. The basic currency units of Argentina, Mexico and Cuba all share the same name. What name?
Lira.
Peso. The Battle of Crécy in 1346 and the Battle of Agincourt in 1415 were engagements in a long war between England and France. Which war?
The 100-Year War.
Yep, the logo for the Chupa Chups lollipop was designed in 1969 by a famous Spanish surrealist artist. What was his name?
Dali.
Yeah, an animated television series first broadcast in 1999 and created by Matt Groening is about a 20th century pizza delivery boy who's accidentally frozen and thaws out in the year 2999. What's the title of the series?
Futurama.
Is correct. No passes. Tracy-Ann, you have now 16 points.
Oh, thank you, John.
So good.
And now, Ben, again, please. Hiya, Ben. And you're a sporty presenter, of course, but also CBeebies.
Yeah, that's right.
So your average-aged fan as a CBeebies presenter would be what?
Probably about 4, unless you count the mums and dads.
How do you deal with your 4-year-old fans? And do you, I mean, if you have interaction with them, how do they deal with you?
Lots of high fives. It's so nice building that rapport with families and with the audience. You know, when I was 5 years old, Philippa Forrester read my birthday card out on CBBC, so now I've got that honour and privilege of doing that for kids in the UK. Yeah. And if you can kind of make them smile and brighten their day, that's pretty cool.
Do you think they're in awe of you, or is there a sort of different relationship?
When I got brought in, they said, we want you to be like a big brother to these kids. So having that relationship where they can see you as a real person, so then when you're talking to them, it might be about history or literacy, educational content, they might listen, but then you can entertain them as well, or you might have to talk about something more serious.
You're almost a teacher.
Yeah, sometimes, because we're teaching kids about kindness or about different religious festivals. And then, on the flip side, I'm then rapping about pancakes or wearing a lobster costume. So it keeps it fresh.
Right. Now, let's see how you do with this.
OK.
You have 6 points. The score to beat is a formidable 16 points. I know. Let's see if you can. Here we go. A liger is the hybrid offspring of a female tiger and a male of another big cat. Which big cat?
A lion.
Yeah. What items of soft furnishing are known in North America as drapes?
Curtains.
Yep. A live-action remake of a 1998 animated film set in China was released in 2020 and stars Yufei Liu as the title character who disguises herself as a male warrior in an effort to save her father. What's the film?
Mulan.
Yeah. The American pianist, jazz composer and band leader Edward Kennedy Ellington was better known by a nickname that's a title of nobility. What nickname?
Sir Duke.
No, Duke. The feast day of St. Andrew, patron saint of Scotland, is celebrated on the 30th of which month?
October.
November. On a standard London Monopoly board, the most expensive property to buy is dark blue and has a listed price of £400. Which property?
Regent Street.
Mayfair. What's the name of the street dance troupe who won the 2009 series of Britain's Got Talent? The group's leader and choreographer, Ashley Banjo, returned to the show in 2020 as a guest judge.
Diversity.
Yep. In Roman numerals, what number is denoted by the letters XV?
15?
Yes. Parc Asterix is a theme park dedicated to the Gaulish warrior created by René Goscinny and Albert Uderzo. It is just outside which European capital city?
Oh, that's hard. Oslo.
Paris. Lambeth Palace is the official London residence of the holder of which religious post?
Pass.
In August 2020, an American singer topped the UK albums chart for the 5th time with her album Folklore. What's her name?
Taylor Swift.
Yep. Which play by Arthur Miller, first staged in 1953, is set in Salem, Massachusetts, at the time of the infamous witch trials?
I studied this at school. Mr. Tumble.
The Crucible. What item of clothing, a kind of sash worn around the waist, derives its name from a Persian word for loincloth or waistband? It's usually worn beneath a dinner jacket.
Cummerbund.
Cummerbund, yeah. What's the surname of Charlie in Roald Dahl's children's book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator?
Fletcher.
Bucket. You had one pass. Lambeth Palace is the home of the Archbishop of Canterbury. You've scored 13 points.
Cool, thanks so much.
And finally, Kiri, again, please. May I just congratulate you on your top? I mean, it's very similar to what I was planning to wear myself this evening. But,
well, I actually found this in your dressing room.
Well, as long as I can have you back afterwards. Now, look, panel show, comedy panel shows. It's got to be funny, obviously, but there must be a bit of needle going on there, mustn't there? I mean, you've got 5 professional comedians all trying to be the funniest.
Yeah, maybe. I come from a big, rough family, so it's just like dinner at ours, you know, trying to get a word in edgeways. But everyone wants to do well at their job, so everyone wants to have said the funniest thing or the thing that got a round of applause. But I genuinely do. I know this sounds like I'm going for Miss World, plus size, clearly. But, like, I think that the show is better if everyone shines.
But I bet you do get somebody. Out of 5, I'll bet there's usually one person and you all think, or the other 4 think, oh, what a...
Are you asking me to name names?
Not necessarily, but give us a rough clue.
Absolutely not.
You are Welsh, of course. But Welsh audiences different from English audiences?
Welsh people have a very left field, slightly surreal sense of humour. I love doing gigs in Wales. They're the ones that laugh at the jokes that other audiences don't laugh at.
Really?
They really give you a hero's welcome. It's my favourite place to gig.
It's probably just because the people of Wales are slightly brighter than the rest of the population. That's really the point I was making. Now, let's see if you're superior to Tracy-Ann. She has 16 points.
So clever.
And if you are to become a celebrity mastermind, you've got to get more than 16 points. Here we go. Starting now. Mutton is meat from what farm animal?
Lamb.
Yes, sheep. In rugby, what's the name of the formation in which a number of players from each team with arms interlocked, heads down, push forward against a group from the opposing side?
Scrum.
Yes, a British river that's almost 100 miles long forms about 17 miles of the border between England and Scotland before it empties into the North Sea. Which river?
Oh, the Taff is
The
not
Tweed,
it.
the pink-footed, the Brent and the Canada are three species of water bird, either native to or winter visitors to the British Isles. What bird?
Gull.
Goose, the dentist in Little Shop of Horrors and Michael Caine's rival conman in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels are two of the film roles of an American actor, writer and comedian. What's his name?
Steve Martin.
Yes, an Italian term that translates as in the fresh or in the cool is often used in English to describe dining in the open air. What term?
Al fresco.
Yep, which band had their fourth consecutive UK #1 album with Notes on a Conditional Form in June 2020? The opening track features a speech by Greta Thunberg.
The Feeling.
The 1975 a Kruger Rand is a South African coin first minted in 1967. From which metal?
Nickel.
Gold. Which comedian and actor succeeded Sandy Toksvig as a co-presenter of the Great British Bake Off in 2020?
Sorry, what was the question?
Which comedian and actor succeeded Sandy Toksvig as a co-presenter of the Great British Bake Off in 2020?
Joe Brand.
Matt Lucas. The word Neapolitan refers to a person from which Italian city?
I don't know.
What cold drink of Taiwanese origin is made with tea, fruit juice and tapioca pearls? It's sometimes called bubble tea or pearl milk tea.
John, I don't know any of these.
I'll take that as a pass. A British fashion model who first appeared on the front cover of Vogue in 1967 was originally nicknamed Styx because of the shape of her legs. What other nickname did she later adopt as a professional name?
Twiggy.
Yes, in a short novel by Charles Dickens, the miserly Ebenezer Scrooge is visited by the ghost of his late business partner and three other spirits. What's the title of this work?
A Christmas Carol.
Correct. Two passes. A Neapolitan comes from Naples, and that strange drink is boba. But you do have 12 points.
Oh, great. Thanks so much.
So let's have a look at the final scores. In fourth place with 11 points, Debbie. Third place with 12 points, Kiri. Second place, 13 points, Ben. First place with 16 points, Tracy-Ann, which means that she takes home the trophy and is tonight's Celebrity Mastermind. Congratulations.
It was the general knowledge I'm really proud about, because I really don't know much.
You could have fooled us, as they say.
I'm so excited. This really does mean a lot.
Congratulations.
Thank you, John.
Now, you do not have to be a celebrity to take part in the regular Mastermind programme. If you'd like to appear in the next series on BBC Two, you can apply online at bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. Either way, do join us again next time for more Masterminds, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.
I was genuinely really nervous, but I really wanted to win. Auntie Val would be over the moon. She'd be like, I had no idea you were so clever.